Kia ora, welcome to your 30 minutes Restore Pilates class. I'm Sam and I'll be taking you through this class today. I've got Hannah here joining me. She will be taking the easier option throughout this class so you can follow her or move along with the progressions with me. Today's class will be focusing a lot on legs, but we're going to get a good full body workout as well. So coming down onto your mats, we're going to start lying on our backs. So just letting yourself sink down. Your feet will be placed into the mat, and I want you to sit your hands on the bottom of your rib cage so that your fingertips are touching. You're welcome to close down your eyes here. We're going to warm up with some breathing. So taking a big deep breath in, letting those fingertips separate. As you exhale, bringing those fingertips back together. So we're just breathing deeply into that belly, really expanding as we breathe in, closing down as we breathe out. So I want you to think about really expanding those ribs out with every breath we take. We're going to take 2 more big breaths. So making sure as we exhale, we're breathing all the way out, releasing all of that air. 1 more big breath in, and all the way out. Bringing your hands down onto the mat beside you, your palms will be facing down. Taking your right fingertips up towards the ceiling here, and then taking them over your head, tapping that thumb down towards the mat, and then bringing it back, reaching up towards the ceiling, placing it down on the mat. We go on the left side, reaching those fingertips up to the ceiling, overhead, tapping that thumb down, reaching up, back to the start. We go again on the right. I want you to really think about extending those fingers nice and long, really lengthening those arms, moving through this movement with nice control. Back to the left. I'm going to go for 1 more on each side, reaching those right fingertips all the way up to the ceiling. Finding that mat, and back to the start. Last one here, going with the left, reaching long, placing that hand back onto the mat. So palms will face down again. We're just going to lightly press through those arms. I want you to really open up that chest. So maybe your shoulder blades squeeze tightly together here. We're going to move through the legs this time. So starting with that right leg, we're going to slide our foot away from us towards the end of the mat, all the way so it's straightening out, pointing those toes, sliding it back. We go with the left. So nice and controlled, sliding along that mat. And back. We'll go for 2 more on each side here. So we're just starting to warm up that abdominals nice and softly. Left foot sliding along, pointing those toes, reaching long and back. 1 more time on each side. And last time here, stretching those left toes long and back up. Giving those legs a little bit of a rock side to side, coming into that windscreen wiper here. All right, back to that start position. We're going to warm up those abdominals a little bit further. If you want to stay with those leg slides here, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, come with us. Floating that right foot up to tabletop, finding that 90-degree angle here with that knee, then placing those toes back down. Floating that left leg up. Again, finding that bend floating it down. So as we move through this move here, I want you to think about drawing that belly button down towards the mat. So we've got a light tightening coming through our core. So nice and controlled as we lift those legs and lower them down. That's it, making sure we're pointing those toes. Last one on this right side. Coming into that left. And placing it down. We're going to roll onto our right side here. So you can either come up onto that forearm, or you're welcome to stay lying down. You can hold your head with that bottom arm here, or prop it up with that hand. So just whatever feels comfortable for you. We're going to shift back to the back of our mat so that our hips are in line with the back of our mat, and then our shoulders and head are in line with our hips. Bending our knees, and your top hand can either come onto that hip or down onto the mat in front of you. We want to make sure our hips are nice and stacked on top of each other to create a nice stable base. We're going to extend that top leg long here, pointing those toes. We're going to lift it up about halfway and then drop it down to the mat. Lift it up and drop. So starting to activate those glutes here. Making a nice and controlled movement as we're lifting and lowering those legs. Drawing that belly button in. Our core stays on. So just moving through at a pace that feels right by you. Pointing those toes. Really lengthening through that top leg. We're here for 5 more. That's it, moving at your own pace. Last 3, 2, 1. Placing that leg down, giving that a little rest. We're going to be lifting it up again before we move into this next move here. So when you're ready, lifting that top leg so it's in line with that hip, lengthening it long. Flexing those toes towards you. We're going to be bending that knee in towards our chest and then pushing it away, lengthening that leg. Bending it in, finding that chest and push it away. That's it. Every time you push away, I want you to imagine you're pushing a box away from you. So you're really pushing with control, lengthening that leg out. That's it. Ensuring that when our knee comes in towards us, it stays in line with that hip. So we don't want to collapse it down. We want to keep it nice and lifted. We're here for 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stacking those knees on top of each other. Coming up to a mermaid position, so finding that Z-sit here. Your right leg is going to come in front of you, parallel with that mat, and your left leg will come down the side. Placing that right hand down onto the mat, reaching those fingertips, left fingertips up and over, coming into a nice side stretch here. And then switching sides, placing that left hand down, reaching up and over with those right fingers. Back to the other side, opening that chest out to the side. Maybe your eyes start to look up towards the ceiling. Back to the left, reaching over. 1 more on each side here, seeing if we can lift a little bit higher through those bottom ribs. Last one. Back to the center. We're going to swing our legs over to the right, coming down onto the left side for the right leg work. So sitting up again, shifting back so that your hips are in line with the mat and our shoulders are in line with those hips. Remembering you can either prop yourself up with that bottom hand or come down to lying, supporting that head. Bending those knees, stacking them on top of each other, top hand either on your hip or down in front of you. When you're ready, extending those right legs long, pointing those toes. We lift them up to halfway, drop them down towards the mat. Lifting up and drop, making sure that belly button is drawing in. We're really activating that core to create that stability. Moving at your own pace, making sure your hips are nice and stacked on top of each other like Hannah's here. It's going to help create stability through that core, through that pelvis, so we can really lengthen out those toes and those legs.